Well, it's time for another basic maintenance video. I'm going to talk a little bit about tire rotations. And before I get into actually jacking the coach up and rotating the tires, I thought I'd talk a little bit about my philosophy. So on page 90 of the operator's manual for our 77 GMC Kingsley is a little diagram about different options for rotating the tires. And one of them is basically a 6-tire rotation diagram. The other one is a 7-tire rotation diagram, which includes the spare tire. And so we just replaced all of our tires last year, and we've driven about 2,000 miles since then. And I want to try to make sure that I get good wear on my tires, and so I do want to rotate them. But I don't think it's really worth rotating the spare tire into the rest of the rotation. So according to this diagram, the spare tire gets rotated into the driver's side, and then that driver's side kind of rotates through the spare tire spot. And then the passenger side just gets rotated like the normal 6-tire rotation. I don't know that it's really worth the extra hassle of rotating the spare tire in, because likely the spare tire is not going to get used, and it probably will sit back there for, maybe a couple of sets of tires without really causing any worry for me. And so I think I'll focus on just rotating the 6 tires. And basically the diagram here has you taking the front tire to the rear position, the rear tire to the middle position, and then the middle position to the front. And basically each time you do the rotation, you just keep doing that. So every third rotation, you'd be back to where you started, basically. And so that's the pattern that I'm going to use for the rotation. I'm sure there's opinions about if I'm doing it right or not because of the spare tire. But I think this is the way I want to do it. So talk a little bit about my plan of how I'm going to do this. Rather than taking kind of one tire off and moving it and taking another tire off and moving it and so on, I think I'm going to jack the whole coach up, and at least one side at a time, and do a whole side, take all 3 of the tires off, change positions, bolt them back up. I have another video where I talk about proper jacking technique, where the whole front of the coach should be jacked up from the center, so the whole front goes up evenly, so you don't worry about cracking your windshields or anything. And then the back can be lifted one side at a time. And so I have some jack stands, and I have some wood cribbing that I'll use to lift the vehicle up and support it once I get everything jacked up. I'm in the driveway, which is pretty flat, and so I think I'll be pretty stable even if I lift the whole coach up for this project. So that's my plan. When I actually get it up off the ground, I'm going to wiggle the tires a bit up and down, back and forth. So I'll try to get a good idea of how my wheel bearings are doing. I'll also look at the bogey pins in the back and see how those are feeling, see if they feel tight or if there's any looseness there. I'm also going to take a look at the brakes when I get everything off. So it's a good maintenance thing, as long as I'm taking all the tires and wheels off, to take a look at other things at the same time. So that's the plan. Now I'm going to take a little time to jack the coach up, and we'll go from there. All right, so I decided not to jack the entire motorhome up because I didn't really like putting it up on blocks and jack stands. And so I've lifted the front and I've lifted the left rear. And so I'm going to do the rotation on the left side first. But now that I have this off the ground and it's moving a little bit, I want to check the wheel bearings and the steering just to see what kind of play, if any, and not getting really any movement front and back. Getting maybe just a little bit, although I can see the sidewall flexing. Yeah, I'm seeing the steering move a little bit. And I had an alignment done a while ago, and they said that the steering had a little bit of play, but it wasn't too bad. So I'm seeing a little bit of that. But that one looks okay, I think. So now we'll check the back. Oh, I am feeling some wiggle there, so I don't like that. You can actually kind of see it moving back and forth. So I'm going to need to look at tightening the wheel bearings here. Maybe reseal them and things. So good that I checked that. And now I think kind of checking to see if it pulls in and out, can test the bogey pin. So I feel a little bit of the bearing still, but I'm not really feeling anything back at the bogey pin. So I also feel a little play in this one, not as much as that one. Not really feeling anything up there, movement in the bogey pin. So I think I'll need to do some wheel bearing checking, tightening on these. So I'm glad I decided to check that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start rotating the tires real quick. And when I pull these off, I guess I'll decide how I want to take care of those wheel bearings. All right, so I have rotated the tires. This is the one that was in the middle rear, and it's moved up to the front. As long as I had the wheels off, I checked the brakes and rotors. Everything looked good. Just generally took a look at brake lines and other things that I was looking at back there, and also looked good. So now I'm ready to tighten these down. These are not Alcoa wheels. They're another aluminum type of wheel. But they have a similar type of lug nut with a washer on it. And so I think the torque for these is 140 pounds. And so I'm going to tighten them. And generally there's a pattern that you follow. There's an even number of lug nuts here. So I'll do this side, and then I'll go across, and then I'll do these across, and then kind of do the other ones in a cross pattern and get it tightened down to that 140 foot-pounds. All right, well, I'm tightening up these. I will torque them, and then this side will be done. I need to do the same thing on the other side, and then my tire rotation will be all done.